Wishes, wildflowers, and a billionaire. Ah, the sweet scent of freedom. Or so I thought when my lamp was finally polished after centuries of gathering dust. You'd think I would have gotten used to the solitude by now, but let me tell you, spending centuries in an enclosed space with only your own thoughts for company does things to a genie. I spent years debating the proper ratio of hummus to pita, mentally composing sonnets about the perfect cup of tea, and ranking every master I'd ever had from mildly annoying to absolute catastrophe. And believe me, there were some catastrophes. One master wished for the ability to speak every language but forgot to exclude animal dialects. He was never the same after a week of listening to squirrels argue about acorn storage logistics. Another insisted I turn his enemies into barrels, which led to a very confusing naval battle. My past masters had been a mixed bag of lunatics, conquerors, and dreamers. One tried to wish for an army of sentient pickles. Another wanted to turn their enemies into literal chickens, which, let me tell you, led to the worst diplomatic crisis of the 14th century. And let's not even discuss the guy who wished to become the world's most attractive man but forgot to specify human. Spoiler, he became a very dashing llama. So, needless to say, I had no idea what to expect this time. I braced myself for the usual nonsense. I wish for infinite wealth, or make me the most powerful person in the world, or my personal favorite, I wish for more wishes. Huh. As if I haven't heard that one before. But this time something was different. She was different. Oh wow, an actual genie. The woman in front of me mused, adjusting her green apron. Her brown curls framed her face and the scent of roses clung to her skin. You must be really cramped in that thing. I blinked. Yes, I suppose I was. Good thing I dusted it, huh? This was not the reaction I was used to. No screaming, no frantic wishing, just a woman with soil-stained hands giving me an unimpressed look. I'm Dahlia, by the way. I own this flower shop, so I get 3 wishes, huh? Indeed, I boomed, floating a few feet above the ground, arms crossed. You may ask for whatever your heart desires, wealth, power, immortality. She tilted her head. Can I wish for my peonies to bloom better? What? Or, oh, that big oak outside needs a little help. It's been here for ages, and I think it deserves a comeback. I was dumbfounded. You're telling me you, an intelligent, fully capable human, have just discovered an all-powerful genie, and you want botanical enhancements? You're right, she tapped her chin. I should go bigger. Finally, some sense. I wish, she announced dramatically, for my flower shop and the entire world to return to its former glory. No technology, no TVs, just love, good vibes, and people who actually talk to each other instead of staring at their phones. I stared. You're serious? Yup, she said, popping the... Oh dear, this was going to be a journey. The chaos of simplicity. With a snap of my fingers, the world around us shimmered. Dahlia's quaint little shop transformed into a lush paradise of vibrant flowers, hand-carved wooden furniture, and vines that wove themselves into the walls. Outside, the pavement was replaced by cobblestones. The shops morphed into charming family-run bakeries, bookstores, and artisans' workshops. The smell of fresh bread wafted through the air, and laughter, not the robotic beep of a cash register, filled the streets. Dahlia clapped her hands, eyes wide with wonder. Oh, this is amazing. Look at this. It's like something out of a storybook. She stepped forward, running her fingers along the hand-carved wooden counter, inhaling the scent of fresh lavender and warm bread from the bakery next door. The cobblestone street gleamed under the golden sunlight, and a child laughed as they chased a butterfly through the open-air market that had seemingly appeared overnight. This is how life should be, she murmured, turning in slow circles to take it all in. A delighted giggle escaped her lips as a passing vendor offered her a fresh apple, and she eagerly took a bite. Oh wow, even the fruit tastes better. Then the screaming started. A woman clutched her pearls, shrieking, "How will I check my horoscope without my phone?" A businessman fell to his knees, sobbing, "My Bitcoin, my beautiful, imaginary money!" Children wailed as they poked at blank tablet screens, while one man frantically tapped his wrist as if his non-existent smartwatch would save him. A group of influencers stood in the middle of the street, confused and horrified, as they realized their selfies would never reach an audience. Pure, unfiltered chaos. "Where's my phone? My bank app isn't working. My stock prices, oh no, my stocks." Dahlia winced. "Oops, oops," I huffed, dodging a man running frantically in circles. "You just turned a bustling urban neighborhood into the set of a historical drama." "I mean, technically it was my wish," she reasoned. "Technically you just started a revolution." And that was how I found myself reluctantly involved in the affairs of humans once again. As Dahlia worked to convince the bewildered citizens that life was, in fact, still worth living without Wi-Fi, I resigned myself to observing. And that's when I saw him, the billionaire who lost everything and loved it. Amidst the chaos stood a man in a designer suit looking around in bewilderment. He was tall, sharp-featured, with piercing blue eyes that screamed, "I own 6 companies and cry into my silk pillow at night." "My penthouse, my empire," he bellowed. "Oh, quit whining," Dalia snapped. "Now you get to experience life like the rest of us." I expected the man to unleash an arrogant tirade about the virtues of capitalism. Instead, he blinked. Then, he looked around and muttered, "Huh. I guess I've never actually stopped to enjoy the smell of fresh bread before." I groaned. "Oh no, you're getting existential, aren't you?" Ethan gasped dramatically, clutching a loaf of bread like it was the Holy Grail. "Genie, do you see this? This is real. This is tangible. For years I've chased profits, acquisitions, and quarterly growth. But this is the essence of life. The crunch, the chewiness, the undertones of nutty warmth. How have I never noticed before?" Dahlia covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. "Ethan, you're literally crying over a baguette." He wiped at his eyes. "It's just so beautiful." Dahlia grinned. "Welcome to the simple life, mister." Ethan Langston." "Well, Ethan, congratulations. You just got demoted from billionaire to person. How's it feel?" He hesitated. His whole life had been dictated by numbers, stocks, and financial projections. Without them, who was he? A nobody? A blank slate? Or maybe, just maybe, someone finally free to be whoever he wanted. He exhaled, a slow smile forming. Oddly liberating. And that, my dear friends, was the beginning of the end. Love and the last wish. Over the next few months, Dahlia and Ethan became inseparable. They spent long afternoons in the flower shop, Ethan attempting to name the flowers correctly, while Dahlia shook her head in amusement. "That's not a tulip, it's a peony," she corrected, arms crossed. Ethan frowned at the pink blossom in his hand. "In my defense, they're both very petally." She laughed, tossing a stray leaf at him. "You're hopeless. But I have to admit, you're getting better at arranging bouquets." "Really?" He perked up, puffing out his chest. "You mean I could make it as a professional florist?" Dahlia gave him a long look before bursting into laughter. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Mr. Former Billionaire." One evening, under a sky painted with twilight hues, Ethan leaned against the counter as Dahlia tidied up. "You know," he mused, "I never thought I could enjoy something as simple as working in a flower shop. But with you it feels right." She met his gaze, a soft smile playing on her lips. "You think so?" He nodded, brushing a loose curl behind her ear. "Yeah, and I think maybe you were my wish all along." Dahlia's breath hitched, her heart skipping a beat. "That's dangerously romantic, Langston." "Good," he murmured before leaning in to kiss her. One particularly hilarious afternoon, Dahlia attempted to teach him how to arrange a bouquet, only for Ethan to end up tangled in a mess of stems and ribbons looking like an unfortunate floral disaster. "I think the flowers are winning," he admitted, pouting as Dahlia doubled over in laughter. Another time, Dahlia insisted Ethan try working in her shop for a full day. It started well enough, until a customer asked for a rare orchid, and Ethan, in his enthusiasm, knocked over an entire display of delicate vases. "Congratulations, you've just committed mass floral destruction," Dahlia teased as she helped him clean up the mess. "Pretty sure that's a federal offense in florist law." Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Dahlia had a habit of getting into trouble, like the time she tried to trade a bouquet for a sack of flour and almost started a bartering war. Or when she accidentally convinced a group of formerly rich businessmen to start a no-money commune that spiraled into a philosophical debate about economic structures. But through it all, Ethan was there, laughing at her antics, helping her navigate the madness she had created. And somehow, somewhere between the roses and the revolutions, they fell in love. Finally, one crisp autumn evening, standing beneath the now thriving oak tree, they prepared to make their last wish. Though the magic had reshaped their town into a simpler, more connected place, they both knew the ripples of their wish had gone far beyond. Cities across the world had shifted, banks had crumbled, and communities had begun to rediscover the beauty of trade and craftsmanship. This was no small change. It was a complete transformation of the world as they knew it. But just as Dahlia opened her mouth, a voice rang out from the shadows. "Wait, think this through." An old merchant, his beard wild and his clothes patched but dignified, stepped forward, clutching a heavy sack of silver coins. "You don't understand what you're about to do. The world has always run on some kind of currency. Remove one and another will rise. What if it gets worse? What if people start trading in," he shuddered, "exotic root vegetables?" Ethan exchanged a glance with Dahlia, his grip tightening around her hand. "We have to trust this, don't we?" Dahlia hesitated for the first time, biting her lip. "I know it's a big change, but isn't it worth the risk? If we don't try, things will just stay the same." The merchant groaned, throwing his hands up. "Fine, but don't come crying to me when carrots are worth more than gold." Ethan let out a slow breath and looked at Dahlia. "Together?" She smiled, nodding. "Together." And with that, they made their wish. Dahlia took Ethan's hand, her eyes full of determination. "We wish for a world without paper money, where trade is fair, and people value goods and services over numbers on a screen." Ethan hesitated, squeezing her fingers. "Are we sure about this? I mean, this could have unintended consequences. What if people start hoarding carrots like currency?" Dahlia laughed, bumping his shoulder playfully. "Come on, Ethan. Haven't you been saying how freeing it is to let go of the old system? This is our chance to make it right. No more debts, no more financial corruption. Just people exchanging what they truly need." He exhaled, nodding slowly. "All right, let's do it, but if I see someone offering 10 potatoes for a mansion, I'm blaming you." She grinned. "Deal." I sighed. "You two are the strangest mortals I've ever met." He exhaled, nodding slowly. With one last flick of my wrist, the world shimmered. The banking system collapsed overnight. People started trading goods, communities flourished, and, for the first time in centuries, humanity thrived in a way that wasn't driven by greed. And me? Well, I was finally free. Dahlia and Ethan had used their last wish, which meant no more genie duties for me. I could finally retire. Or so I thought. Because just when I was about to kick back and enjoy a well-earned vacation, Dahlia grinned at me. "Oh, and you're in charge of the wedding logistics," she announced. What followed was a disaster of biblical proportions. The florist, who was supposed to be her, forgot the centerpieces because she got distracted helping a squirrel build a nest. Ethan's best man got into a heated debate with the baker about the ethics of using gold flakes on pastries in a world where gold was now the primary currency. Meanwhile, Ethan, trying to impress Dahlia, arranged a surprise for her, a grand display of floating lanterns that would light up as they exchanged vows. However, in his enthusiasm, he overestimated his ability to light them at the perfect moment and ended up setting a decorative banner on fire. Dahlia gasped, eyes wide as the banner caught flame. "Ethan, what did you do?" "It was supposed to be romantic," he groaned, frantically waving his arms at the flames, which only made things worse. The genie sighed, snapping his fingers to put out the fire. "You mortals and your grand gestures. Maybe stick to flowers next time? I mean, do you not see the irony here?" The best man gestured wildly. "We just abolished fiat currency, and now you're sprinkling our new economy on cupcakes?" The baker folded his arms. "It's called luxury, my friend. Some traditions must remain." Dalia groaned, rubbing her temples. "For the love of roses, can we not have an economic crisis at my wedding?" Ethan stepped between them, hands raised in mock surrender. "All right, let's compromise. What if we use silver flakes instead?" The best man narrowed his eyes. "Fine, but only if I get an extra slice." The baker smirked. "Deal, but you're paying in tulips." The week leading up to the wedding was filled with endless planning, last-minute adjustments, and, of course, minor disasters. "Are we really ready for this?" Ethan asked one night as he and Dalia sat beneath the oak tree, stringing wildflowers into makeshift decorations. Dalia leaned against his shoulder with a smile. "I don't think anyone is ever truly ready, but I know that I want this. With you." Ethan exhaled, squeezing her hand. "All right, but if a goat crashes the wedding, I'm taking that as a sign." And as fate would have it, the officiant lost his voice after shouting at an overly enthusiastic goat that somehow made its way into the venue. The goat, unbothered by the chaos, proceeded to chew on the edge of the wedding registry, causing an impromptu scramble to save what remained of the paperwork. And don't even get me started on the dress situation. Somehow, in a tragic mix-up, Dalia ended up with an outfit that made her look like a bedazzled scarecrow. She took one look in the mirror, squared her shoulders, and strutted out of the dressing room like she was walking the runway at Paris Fashion Week. Ethan, to his credit, tried to keep a straight face. He really did. But the moment she twirled dramatically and struck a pose, he let out a snort so loud it startled the wedding officiant. I love it," he managed between gasps of laughter. "You look like a very glamorous Harvest Festival mascot." But through all the chaos, Ethan and Dalia just laughed, holding hands, as if none of it mattered. Dalia smirked. "You know, for a former billionaire, you're surprisingly good at handling economic anarchy." Ethan chuckled, squeezing her hand. "Well, I suppose crashing an entire financial system is just another Monday for me. But this wedding, this is the real high-stakes deal." Dalia leaned in, eyes twinkling, but a flicker of hesitation crossed her features. The weight of everything they had done, the revolution, the changes, the risks, pressed down on her for just a moment. "Do you think we made the right choice?" she murmured, her fingers lightly tracing the edge of his sleeve. Ethan cupped her cheek, tilting her face so she met his gaze. "I think we made the only choice that ever really mattered," he said, his voice steady. "And I think, no matter what happens, we'll figure it out. Together." A small smile broke through her uncertainty and she nodded. "All right, Mr. Former Billionaire. But just so you know, this is officially your most high-risk investment." Ethan smirked, sliding his arms around her waist. "And my most rewarding." She arched a brow. "That's dangerously sentimental for you." "Good," he murmured before capturing her lips in a deep, lingering kiss. His hands cradled her face, his thumbs gently tracing the curve of her cheeks as he pulled her closer. The scent of roses and fresh bread lingered in the cool evening air, mingling with the warmth of their embrace. Dalia melted against him, her fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt, as if grounding herself in the moment. The noise of the crowd faded into a distant hum, the flickering lanterns casting a soft golden glow around them. It was as if time itself had paused, letting them exist only for each other. Ethan deepened the kiss, slow and reverent, as if memorizing the way she fit against him. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers, a grin tugging at his lips. A decision I'd make 1,000 times over. The genie, who had been watching the kiss with an exaggerated look of exasperation, cleared his throat. "All right, lovebirds, I hate to interrupt your fairy tale moment, but can we talk about the real tragedy here? Because despite my relentless complaining, I have to admit, you two have kind of grown on me. Ugh, it's disgusting. I was supposed to be free, basking in the eternal vacation I've been dreaming of for centuries, but no. Instead, I'm here, emotionally invested in your ridiculous romance. Do you have any idea how annoying that is? No one has wished for an unlimited supply of baklava, and frankly, I'm offended. And that, dear friends, is how I found myself stuck in yet another human mess. I swear, I try to stay out of these things, but humans have an uncanny ability to drag me into their chaos. One minute I'm granting innocent wishes. The next, I'm knee-deep in a bartering dispute over cabbages and hand-sewn wedding veils. Retirement? Ha! That's a dream as mythical as a stress-free wedding. But hey, at least this one had cake and, against all odds, a happy ending.